We're going to call the meeting of the Board of Public Works to order on July 25th, 2024. Would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Commissioner Lemon?
Here.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Mayor Donches?
Here.
Commissioner Shea and Espedia could not be with us, but we also have our alternate liaison, Alderman Dad, attending.
All right, and the first item two, we have the agenda. Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item three, the minutes of our previous meeting. Commissioner Gregg.
I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works meeting of June 27th, 2024.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the meeting or the motion say aye, please.
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to address the Board of Public Works? Board of Aldermen referrals. We first have ordinance 024-017 permitting certain fund transfers within the Public Works Division.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, yes.
So this is an ordinance that actually was created by Alderman Derek Tebow, and thank him for that. And also Alderman Dad was also a supporter of this. There was some concern, and let me just back up and say this was, right now, we can transfer with our general fund budgets within the budget. We cannot transfer outside of the budget. So we can't transfer from streets to parks or streets to administration and engineering. So this legislation would allow us to do that. In other words, we could not only transfer within the budget, but outside within those three general fund budgets. There was some concern about that, that it could be a free-for-all and that we would be using the money for something other than its intended use. I spoke with Alderman Gouveia on last Friday, and I spoke also with Alderman Dad. I've not had a chance to connect with Alderman Tebow yet. But the compromise that they thought would make sense would be to have only transfers between streets and parks. So you can only transfer from streets into parks, which is really the crux of this legislation. We have an underfunded department in parks. We barely have any money I think we have $24,000 in the playground line, and that will buy one slide. So the ability, if we had a light winter, to be able to transfer some money from streets into parks would be very beneficial and allow us to do some additional infrastructure improvements that are badly needed. We have improvements, of course, everywhere, as you know, from Holman to Greeley, and tennis courts, basketball courts, lighting at many of the parks. So this would allow us to do some of that. So the compromise would be only transferring from streets to parks, which is really what we wanted and needed, and also to provide notification to the Board of Aldermen when we did those transfers, which is, again, not a heavy lift. So this legislation, we would still have to follow forced purchasing guidelines. If the purchase was over $25,000, it would still, of course, come to the Board of Public Works and also to the Finance Committee. So those controls would remain in place. So I think that's a decent compromise, and so they were looking essentially for a positive recommendation from me this evening.
So is there a motion to approve the proposed compromise? That is that the allowed transfers would be from streets to parks with the requirement that a memorandum go to the Board of Aldermen informing them of transfers when they're made.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman, by Commissioner Lemon. Commissioner Gregg.
Just really quickly, you say it's from the Streets Department. The compromise is from the Streets Department to the Parks and Recreation Department, but with the ordinance as it reads, it says that the Public Works Administration Engineering Department, the Streets Department, and the Parks and Recreation Department should be treated as a single department to permit funds transferring from all three of those.
Correct.
Are we voting on this, or are we?
No.
voting?
So that would need to be, an amendment would need to be written.
Okay, okay,
And so we're being asked to approve a concept
okay.
rather than what's
Okay.
written before you. A change from what you see.
That was our original request. But I don't know, Alderman Dodge, you want to add anything else, or?
I think that that'll work. I know there was originally some concern by some aldermen about fear of transfers happening without them knowing and that kind of thing. So I think this satisfies everybody.
All right, Commissioner Gregg.
Sorry, what is the exact concern? Because it would make sense to me that, you know, that departments that require funds that have, is it a surplus issue? Are you worried about where the dollars are going, or?
No, there was a couple concerns. One was, if we do it for BPW, do we do it for all these other divisions? Well, they don't work the same way. Parks and streets work close hand in hand, and it makes sense to be able to move the money. It just makes it easier to move the money than going through a process of a resolution to make the transfer. So this makes it a lot smoother, you know, for streets and parks to work together hand in hand than the way it is right now. So that was the only concern was, you know, did it open it up for everybody, which we've resolved, and how does the Board of Aldermen know when that transfer has been done? So it's just a memorandum.
So the administration and engineering aspect of this doesn't require, in your mind, or I don't know how we got from this to the new compromise, but this doesn't require as much working together in terms of shifting funds that the streets and parks.
It could, I
It
mean,
could.
it could, but this is better than not having anything at all.
Okay, that's where we're at. Okay.
Is kind of where we're at,
Alright.
yes.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is item B, Resolution R 24-069. Commissioner Lemon.
Okay, so I move to authorize a tower cell site lease agreement with Dish Wireless LLC regarding a wireless communications facility located at 10 Whipple Street.
Any discussion, questions?
My only
Yes,
question
Commissioner
is,
Lemon.
This is what we looked into last time. This is the same agreement about how we had brought up some questions about how much it was, and then
Yes.
we went back.
Yeah.
This is a different, this is a different.
Yeah, this is a
Oh,
this is a
different
different.
one?
Yes,
Okay.
this isn't, this
Sorry.
is, the Mine Falls, the last one was Holman.
Oh, okay.
So this is a different, so this is, essentially Dish Networks will locate on the current cell tower at Mine Falls Park,
Oh,
and it'll generate an additional $4,000 in revenue a month for the first year. The agreement is for 5 years, and their, the lease automatically increases by 3% on the anniversary date. That's how this would work.
Because there are two towers at Mine Falls right now, and this would consolidate it onto one tower, right?
It is consolidated on one tower now, one of them needs to be removed.
So the second one can come down. Dish had refused to move over for some years, so here it is, I guess. All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have informational item regarding Mine Falls update.
So Mayor, we had two presentations, one on, this is actually the riverfront as it relates to Mine Falls, and a GIS update, and I'm going to ask that we, since the full board isn't here, that we postpone those until August, if that's okay? And we'll have those presentations at that time.
All right, so unless there's an objection, we'll postpone the two informational items till the next meeting. Wastewater Department, item A, Commissioner Gregg.
I move to approve the user warrants as presented.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we have item B, which has to do with a waiver of sewer fees. Is there anyone here on this? No?
No.
Okay. So I've talked to legal about this, and the request is being made by Stepping Stones, which is a tenant of a building owner landlord. Now, the relationship and the obligation runs from the landlord owner to the city. The tenant and the landlord can make whatever deal they want, but as far as we're concerned, the owner of the building owes us the money. So we don't know, so when something like this is unpaid, we don't go after the tenant, we go after the landlord. And it would simply be, if they refuse to pay, it ends up being a lien on their property, like a unpaid mortgage kind of. And it just stays there, really. But if they do refuse to pay. So I suggest we pass this, and we are not asking for Stepping Stones to pay us. We'll be asking the building owner to pay. And I'm sure that's who the bill went to. So
So we would deny this. right?
so this needs to be denied. So you're thinking we need a motion to deny? With that explanation, is there a motion to deny? $3,114.14.
You can just read the motion and then just deny it if you want, as is. Because you're considering their request, and then you can deny it.
I move to deny the request that all outstanding amounts due for wastewater and accrued interest shall be abated. The understanding is the amount totals $3,114.14, which includes all accrued interest through August 15th, 2024.
And I wish to reiterate, this request has been made by Stepping Stones. The city has no intention of trying to collect from Stepping Stones. So, and it wouldn't be useful to do so, but we look to the building owner to make these payments, and that's what we would do in this case.
A second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Solid Waste Department, item A, Commissioner Gregg.
A motion to approve a 3-year contract with Haley Ward, Inc. of Portsmouth, New Hampshire for water quality testing services at Nashville landfill sites to the Solid Waste Department in the amount of $205,207.25. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste, Fund Solid Waste, Account Classification 53 Professional and Technical Services.
And is Mr. LaFleur here?
No, but we have Darren Santos, who is
Okay.
our environmental engineer, to speak to this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Darren Santos, Environmental Engineer for the Solid Waste Department. This is our 3-year water quality testing for both Four Hills and the park landfills in town. ChemServe, who was the longtime contract holder, went through the process a couple meetings ago, was approved. They have been bought out, and the lab that's buying them does not want to fall through with the contract. So Haley Ward was the next responsive bidder in the previous bidding process, and we're recommending to proceed with them.
All right, any discussion, questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Motion passes. Fleet Department, item A, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the purchase of one 410-P tier John Deere backhoe from United Construction and Forestry with
Sure,
a total
thank you.
purchase price of $191,100. Additionally, approve the purchase and installation of radio system in an amount not to exceed $5,000. Funding will be through Department 177 Parks Fund Trust Activity SURF.
Mr. Rush?
Good afternoon, Michael Rush, Fleet Superintendent. So this is a scheduled SURF purchase to replace one of our older Caterpillar backhoes. It is a like-for-like purchase. with the exception of the manufacturer. It's the same machine size as the one we currently have. The other exception is we'll be trading the old one in towards this one, so that was we were able to reduce our cost with that. This will also have the same attachments as the previous backhoe to be able to be used during the winter storms as well. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this purchase.
Anyone? Commissioner Gregg.
Why the need for the purchase in comparison?
To the current backhoe?
Yeah, like what?
It's starting to have corrosion
Okay.
issues to the main structure of the machine. And rather than try to get a couple more years out of it, we were able to obtain enough money for the trade-in as opposed to keeping it and losing more money later on down the road for more costly repairs.
Makes sense.
So they were able to work with us and take it as a used trade-in towards the purchase of the new one, which we benefited from. I believe the trade-in value is actually in the quote. They're giving us about $42,000 towards the trade-in. So if we hung on to this another year, 2 years, that's going to drastically change as the machine starts to rot away a little bit more from the salt.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve the purchase of one 624P tier John Deere wheeled loader from United Construction and Forestry for the total purchase price of $377,350. Additionally, approve the purchase and installation of radio system in an amount not to exceed $5,000. Funding will be through Department 161 Streets Fund Trust Activity SURF.
Michael Rush, Fleet Superintendent. This purchase is to replace one of our older Caterpillar loaders at the Street Department, similar to the backhoe at the Parks Department that we just discussed. The only difference is we'll be keeping this and moving it to the back line as a lower priority snow fighter piece of equipment and use in the salt shed. We typically rotate the equipment out that way to get a little bit longer life, and we feel like we have a little bit longer before we send this to auction or trade it in towards the next purchase. It is a like-for-like purchase with the exception of the manufacturer. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this purchase.
Anyone? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve pending bond approval, the purchase of one 2024 Caterpillar 826 landfill compactor from Milton Cat in Londonderry, New Hampshire for $999,000 pursuant to the Sourcewell contract number 032515-CAT. Additionally, approve the purchase and installation of radio system in an amount not to exceed $5,000. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste Fund Bond Activity SURF.
Michael Rush, Fleet Superintendent. So this compactor is used up in the landfill to limit the amount of airspace we have up there and maximize our usage up there on the four hills. It is replacing an older machine that has already had one rebuild. We're going to keep that as a backup, and we're going to trade our backup in towards this purchase. It's a pretty significant amount of money for the other trade-in, where the one that we'll be replacing will go to rebuild after that. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this purchase.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have the Parks Department. Item A, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve the purchase of one 2024 Toro GM 5910 Groundmaster mower from Turf Products of Enfield, Connecticut, off the Sourcewell contract, 18696, for the price of $167,182.97. Additionally, approve the purchase and installation of radio system in an amount not to exceed $5,000. Funding will be through Department 177 Parks and Recreation Fund Trust Activity SURF.
Good evening. Brian Conant, Superintendent of the Parks Department. This is a scheduled surf replacement, so like-for-like purchase. We use these mowers, as everyone's well aware. We have about 150 acres of mowable grass that we have to mow each week. Some parks get cut twice a week. This mower is capable of mowing 20 acres an hour, and it's got a 16-foot width. We're not going to find anything that's more efficient than this. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this if there are any.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Engineering Department, item A, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the sewer service permits and fees as submitted.
All those in favor? Say aye.
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 That's approved. Item B, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve poll license petitions as listed in the staff report.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve change order 4 to the 2023 sewer rehabilitation program, contract 3 with RWC Enterprises of Nashua, New Hampshire, in the amount not to exceed $368,798. Funding will be through 169 wastewater fund bond activity sewer rehabilitation.
Good afternoon, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. So we are under contract with RWC, a local contractor, for 2023 sewer rehabilitation work. It's a combination of sewer and drain work, miscellaneous throughout the city. They've been performing well, knocking a bunch of issues off our list. We would like to expand their contract to enable us to expand that work and include some additional locations. I'd be happy to address any questions.
Anyone? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item D, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve the engineering contract for pavement management services with Stantec Consulting Services, Inc. of Burlington, Mass. in an amount not to exceed $50,000. Funding will be through 160 admin engineering fund bond activity paving.
Again, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. So we're still in the process of our 10-year paving plan, getting towards the end of that plan, but one of the aspects of the plan is that we observe, or we consult with a company to go observe a third of the city each year. It's the city's roadway network, categorize its pavement condition index, or PCI. That helps us track progress of the program, and also helps us determine where we should be applying paving treatments and which treatments those should be. Helps us prioritize that work. So again, we've been doing this for a number of years, but we're seeking to contract to continue that process, surveying a third of the city. Be happy to address any questions.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item E is an informational item only on street opening permits. So we'll go on to administration, and the first item is the director's report.
So our first slide is Continental Paving, final paving Manchester Street on June 28th. This is Sunshine Paving, showing final paving Walnut Street on June 25th. As you can probably see throughout the city, we've been doing an awful lot of paving. RWC is here shown installing drainage improvements on Main Dunstable Road in early July through actually July 15th to address some areas of historic stormwater ponding and icing. The riverfront project is well underway. This is contractor CN Shore constructing a coffer dam on July 15th to support construction of the pier foundations. This is Moran's Landscaping, reconstructing a section of Bicentennial Park. We had huge crowds at our annual 4th of July event, which included performances by the Slackers, Spartans, and also the Holman Hall of Fame dedication ceremony. We've added something new to our parks. On Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we have play in the park. So our interns are going to the parks and bringing games and playing games with kids. So That has been pretty popular, and we might expand that actually next year. Our summer camps are going strong. We have many offerings, and most of them are filled, so they've been very popular. We've got science camps, swim lessons, sports, nature, and music camps, just to name a few. Our fairy tale festival was as popular as ever. We had thousands of people. We had princesses and lawn games, free giveaways, face painting, a magician, and of course a meet and greet with the princesses, which is always extremely popular. The park staff is doing a lot of field maintenance these days. This is infield work at Lincoln Park. The
Do you
Greeley,
issue them bear spray now at Lincoln Park?
what kind of spray?
Bear?
Oh, bear spray. That might not be a bad idea. The wading pool at Greeley Park is being has been heavily used. We replaced 4 manholes on Somerset Parkway. Parks and wastewater, this is a good example of how our departments work together frequently. Installed a new pump at Centennial Pool. And streets worked with wastewater to install a new drain pipe to tie into the drainage system for backwashing the pool. The street crews repaired a sinkhole due to some bad compaction actually under a newly installed gas line. And we wouldn't have done that. We would have made Liberty come back and do that, but we didn't know that until we got into it. So we certainly will be discussing that with them. On Mondays and Thursdays from 11:45 to 6:45 a.m., the street department goes in and cleans Main Street. Pick up trash, clean the sidewalks, all of that. We had a flagger training session here on July 17th. We're doing more and more trainings, which our staff has been very receptive to. We're working with T2 over at UNH, and they have some really great trainings. So we have some, Matt LeBlanc actually, I think he's still here, is heading that up, and he's got some more trainings that are scheduled for this year. So, and this is just a picture of our new scale that was installed at the Forest Hills landfill. I think that's it. Any questions?
Anyone? No? Okay. Thank you, Director Photo. So now we have commissioners' comments. Any comments, my commissioners? Personnel. Item F. Really, item F? Why is it F?
It should be A.
Should be A, right? All right, item F should be A. Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve and unseal the non-public minutes for personnel from the Board of Public Works meeting of June 27, 2024.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Motion passes. Item G should be B. Commissioner Gregg.
I move to accept the retirement of Philip Couturier. Sorry, may help with that.
You said it correct.
Okay. Couturier, equipment operator, effective July 12, 2024.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item H, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to accept the resignation of Vern Thompson, equipment operator, street repair, effective July 19th, 2024.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we have a non-public session to consider confidential personnel items. Who has the, Commissioner Lemon?
Okay. I move by roll call that the board go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
Could you call the roll?
Commissioner Lemon,
Here.
Commissioner Gregg,
Yes?
Mayor Donches.
Yes. Motion passes. So we'll now All right, are we back in? All right, so we're in public session. The only remaining item, unless anybody has anything to discuss, is a motion to adjourn.
First, we
Yes, yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Commissioner Lemon.
I move by roll call to seal the minutes of the Board of Public Works Personnel non-public meeting of July 25th, 2024, until such time as the majority of the board votes that the purpose of the confidentiality would no longer be served.
Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Lemon,
Here.
Commissioner Gregg,
You got to say yes or no.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Commissioner Gregg,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes. Motion passes. Commissioner Lemon.
I move that the Board of Public Works meeting be adjourned.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And the meeting of the Board of Public Works is adjourned at 4:44 PM.